Warning.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Top 5. I am your host, Lee, and with me, as always, I am lucky enough to be here with my buddy, Jason. Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm great, man. I got that memo where, since this is like a Zoom meeting type deal, we don't have to wear pants or anything. And
Ah,
I have it right over here. I'll show you real. No, I'm kidding
I,
you. Yeah,
I
I'm
was like,
good,
are we
man.
starting off with a horror story already? No.
That would be scary, even for me. That would be scary.
Yeah. Oh man. So Jason, what are we going to talk about this week, man? As always, I can't wait to get into it and share with the audience what we're going to talk about. But do you want to share with me?
Yeah, let's roll this little clip real quick and take a look at what we got this week.
All right.
Hey, Mom. I'm good. No, I'm almost there. Can we not do this right now? I don't know when I'll be back. I'm sorry. I'm just tired. I'll call you tomorrow.
All right. Haunted locations it is, man. I'm excited for this one, Lee. We didn't really just go with haunted house. We went with haunted locations. It could be anything. It really could. So we're
Right.
talking cemeteries or islands or anything. And um, I don't. I was excited. I was kind of excited with this list, and there were a lot of them that came up that um, they almost made my list, but I didn't want you to think less of me. So I I didn't put them on my list, but after we go through our top five, um, I'll just tell you the ones that I thought about putting on the list. And if there's any that you thought about putting on there, but you didn't, just let me know. And I don't think you'll have them on your list, but you may, but I won't think less of you for that because I like them.
All right, no worries, and I can't wait to actually hear those, man. I almost want to just skip the top five and go straight to the ones that
Well,
didn't make it.
I thought
No,
about
we
telling
can't
you
do
right
that.
off the top. Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
something right now, but I'm like, I'm going to wait, man, because if I say, oh, I thought this one was cheesy, but and then you like, that's my number two.
I know, right? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. And you see me slowly take up the pen and scratch off,
yeah,
number two. All
right.
right. Well, cool, man. Well, listen, I can't wait to get to those. But at first, as always, we have to share our top five. And as Jason said, these are our top five haunted locations.
My number five, 2001. This is a remake of a film from 1960. The director Steve Beck, 13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts. I
Yeah,
love
man.
it. I love that choice. Man, that's when there was at one point there was a slew of horror films coming out, and I'm not going to remember the name of the company, but help me out here. It was like they did Ghost Ship, they did 13 Ghosts, they did was it Dark Castle? Or I think that was the name of the movie company, the production company that was putting these movies out. They came out once, I
Yeah,
think
it wasn't
Gothica was one
twisted,
of
but
them.
yeah, Gothica.
Yeah,
And there was like a
yeah,
whole bunch like in between 99 to 2001 that they were just throwing out there. And I think almost all of them were good. Tony Shalhoub, who we know is Monk from the TV show, and he
yep.
was also in Men in Black too. I can't remember his character, but he gets his head shot off. Uh, but Shannon Elizabeth was in it. Matthew Lillard, Shaggy.
Yes, Shaggy and
Let's see, Murray Abraham. First off, don't ever trust him. Whatever movie it is, don't trust that guy, man. He killed Mozart and Amadeus. And that should tell
right.
you right there that this guy's a bad guy, man. So he played Uncle Cyrus, who was actually a ghost hunter and was going out. And I don't think Tony Shalhoub or anybody in his family knew that. But he's going out and he's collecting all of these ghosts. And Tony Shalhoub's character and his family inherit this when Uncle Cyrus died. And, which was weird because Uncle Cyrus never liked him anyway. But the house is totally made out of glass. There's etchings all over it. It's just a weird place. And, that if I inherited a place like that, Lee, I don't even know if I would take it, man. Like if I showed up there and something's up, there's weird writing all over etched in the glass walls. And it's just odd, man. And then, they have the special glasses that you can actually see these ghosts. And the best part about it is when you're actually finding out how many ghosts there are, there's only 12. So, not to give anything away
Yeah.
about the movie itself being called 13 Ghosts. Let's see, I actually wrote them all down. The the ghost, the firstborn son, the torso, the bound woman, the withered lover, the torn prince, the angry princess, the pilgrimess, the great child, and the dire mother. They count as two. The hammer, the juggernaut, and my personal favorite was the jackal because that dude was just scary, man. If you're a horror fan, this one is definitely one to watch.
That was that time when that production company was putting out these movies, and it was Dark Castle Entertainment, and
Yeah.
they put out a slew of these movies, once a year around Halloween. So it was 13 Ghosts, and like I said, Gothica and Ghost Ship. There was others in there, but those are the three that I remember off the top of my head. So I thought it was a great film. You mentioned Shannon Elizabeth; she was in there. She was still riding high off of her star debut in American Pie.
Yeah.
But no, and I like it. It was a remake from a film back in the 60s. Is that what you said? 60s
Yeah,
or
I think it
50s?
was 1960 film, but which I haven't
Yeah,
watched, and I feel bad for not seeing that one. But
yeah. And what they did though with that is it was one of those movies that they put out in the 60s that where they were trying to like attract different people. It was called the Scare-O-Meter or something like that, where and different things that happened in the theater. You know what I mean? So it's that movie's famous for being one of those films, the 60s one that came out. And if I'm not mistaken, I think with the glasses, did they do a 3D gimmick back in 13 Ghosts when it came out in theaters? I might be wrong about that, because maybe you put on the glasses, you put 3D. I'm probably wrong about
I'm
that. I'm
not sure.
imagining it,
I'm
but
not sure.
Yeah, but I did love that movie, man. It was a great choice. So very cool. I like it, man. I like that
Yeah.
choice. Not right off the bat, kicking it off. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna follow up with my number five. My number five is a movie by director Mike Flanagan, who has busted into the scene recently over the past few years when it comes to horror films. But the particular one I'm talking about with him now is Oculus. I actually really enjoyed this movie, man. It was awesome. It was actually pretty terrifying to me. It starred, oh my gosh, Karen Gillan. She went on to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, playing Nebula. Also Katie Sackhoff, who played Battle Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, the remake of that. So I like those two actresses. They were fantastic. But the story in itself, it starts off, it's a flashback. It's told in flashbacks. Have you seen Oculus?
Yes. Good movie.
Yes. Yeah, it's told in flashbacks. I thought it was awesome. But it starts off, it's this girl, her brother has been in an institution because I think he's been accused of killing his parents or murdering his parents. She's there to pick him up. He's cured, now. Of course, he never really did kill his parents or did anything to his parents before. It was, the ghost that had driven them mad, driven the father and the mom mad, and wound up, killing them. So, but the boy's been accused of it, and he spent this time in the institution. Now they're grown, him and his sister, and she's going back to prove that there indeed is a ghost and that he did not do these things. You know what I mean? And they weren't crazy as children witnessing their parents go mad. But Mike Flanagan, man, like I said, he's done some really good horror movies in the past few years. He did a movie called Hush, which was a great stalker film about a cabin in the woods. He did the two Netflix films, TV series, Haunting of Bly Manor and Haunting of Hill House. And he also did Gerald's Game. So he's really, like I said, doing a really bang up job here in the horror. And Dr. Sleep. He did Dr. Sleep also, the sequel to The Shining. So I'm really a big fan of his work. And Oculus is one of the first movies that I've seen that he did, and I thought it was awesome, and I can't recommend it enough. And that's why it's my number five.
Yeah, that's a good choice, man. That's why, and that's the one that I didn't even have on my list. Good movie though. Good
I
movie,
have
though.
surprise.
Yeah, that's another surprise. For my number four, this one, 1999. So this is right around that area, that time too. It was a book first by Richard Matheson, and then the screenplay director was David Cope. Stir of Echoes. I love Kevin Bacon, and he's one of those actors that's, well known. I think almost everybody knows Kevin Bacon, but he got his start in a Friday the 13th movie. And it's good to see him like dip his toes back into that water every once in a while. And he's in some good scary movies. He had one not too long ago that I thought was great. But Stir of Echoes, man, just all the little things that start happening. First he doesn't really believe in ghosts or anything, and he's just stressed. He's found out that they're getting ready to have another kid, and he gets hypnotized by his sister-in-law. He's more open-minded to things now. So that's when he first sees the ghost, and then he doesn't know why. And I think that's probably anybody that actually has seen a ghost or thinks they've seen a ghost. It's hard, man, to tell people stuff like that. From doing paranormal investigations, if I tell people that I heard a voice on a recording, they're like, whatever, and I saw something that I couldn't explain once. And when I tell it to people, some people look at me like, ooh, and some people like, this dude's crazy. Or, you didn't really see anything. But until you see something yourself, you're just not going to believe it. But, and the thing that gets me with him is once he saw it, he keeps trying to reenact what happened, with the whole sitting on the couch, and he's laid back, and then he sits up and he turns the TV on, lays back down and looks over, and she's not there. She's not there. And his son has the gift too, to see it. And you have that police officer that's at the funeral, and he kind of like comes up to the wife, Kevin Bacon's wife in the movie. They're out having a walk, her and the little boy, and he's like, oh, he has the gift. And she's like, what? And but it's a great movie, man. And it has some good chill factors in it, a good twist at the end. It's a really good movie, man. I definitely recommend Stir of Echoes. And they came out with a part 2 with Rob Lowe, and I I didn't make it very far through it, man. And I like Rob Lowe
Really?
too, but yeah, I didn't get very far through it. It's just
Was that one of the sequels in name only? Was
yeah,
it,
just
or
name.
was there connective tissue? No. Okay.
No, it's just
Yeah.
it was just like, hey, we made money. We talk
Right.
about that all the time. We made money. Let's try it again, and it doesn't
E-
always
e-
work.
Exactly. No, Stir of Echoes, man. I will admit it's been a number of years since I've seen that film, but I think it is a classic Kevin Bacon film. And what happened with that movie? I mean, it got great reviews. I think its Rotten Tomatoes score is really high.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it came out the same summer as The Sixth Sense,
Yeah,
and it really got overshadowed by that movie. I
yeah,
mean,
that's a hard
you
one to
know,
compete with, man.
it did, but I mean, it was totally different in a, still in a way, but I mean, it was a totally different story. But unfortunately, it definitely got overshadowed by
Yeah,
that film
they
also.
were both kind of thrown in the same category. There's, it's a ghost movie, and
Right.
there's, I can see that.
Yeah, but no, it deserves much more acclaim, and perhaps after this being on your top five list, it will get the respect it's deserved all
I
these
hope so,
years.
man. It really should be watched, man. And let's just say, let's go for another Tremors movie. I heard they're going to try to do something with that. I wish they would do that TV series they had talked about that time, but I
Yeah,
did hear they're back in talks about another movie now. So
maybe we'll see it.
yeah,
I think maybe we'll see it. I wonder if they scrub or just act like the other multiple sequels with Michael Gross's character doesn't have hasn't
I
happened.
would. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would. I would get rid of all that. I would just go back straight to the first one and just start from there. And
right. Was
you
it Burt
know,
Gummer? I think that's who he plays.
yeah,
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 yeah.
man. And did he pass? Because
No, no, Michael Gross, he's still alive.
okay, all right. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. One of the
I
maybe.
think you're thinking of Alan Thicke, the father from Growing Pains. You're
Oh
getting are
yeah.
you getting the
Okay.
fathers from the
I
80s
am.
classic television shows mixed
I
up?
am.
Growing
Yeah.
Pains and Family Ties.
They run together sometimes. Yeah, that's probably
They
what happened
do.
there.
And they do. Hey, that's why WandaVision gave them both a shout out in the same episode. So hey, anyway, another genre altogether. But no, fantastic choice. I love it, Jason. You did not fail to never let me down with your choices, man. Great
Thank you.
So guys, for me, this is a movie you've heard me talk about before, but it to me is one of the best haunted house movies made. It is a more recent film, came out in 2013, directed by James Wan. I'm talking about The Conjuring. It, I actually just I was like I tried to find. I even went so far as maybe like, is it? Are you sure, Lee? It's a good movie. Are you sure? But it is, guys. I had to put it on there. It's just we've talked about it before. Jason and I have both had it, I think, on separate lists for different things
Yeah.
at one point or
Yeah.
not. But we've talked about all the great things about it. The clap game got me. I mean, just spookiness that kind of builds and builds and builds as we go on through it, and then the fantastic franchise that it's kicked off since.
Yeah.
It's got the main franchise. We're about to get Conjuring 3 this summer, and then the multiple. Annabelle's already had sequels, and then the Nun, and then the oh my gosh, help me out. There's one more spin-off that I'm not thinking about right now. Or was that it?
With the
Oh,
Nun,
it
the
was
Annabelle.
the Lorna.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
The little Lorna. That was a spin-off because it had the same creature from Annabelle.
Yeah. The hardest name to pronounce in horror movies.
Yeah, exactly. I probably was wrong with what I said right now, but you got what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no. So again, the movie alone was fantastic, but again, it spun off all these other horror franchises that are really scary in their own right. As well. They stand up, very close to The Conjuring, but The Conjuring's much less from them.
Lee, I'll tell you that I almost put that on my list. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go with this other one. And I was hoping you were going to have it because it deserves to be on one of our lists. The
Right.
Conjuring is great, man. And it's scary. It's got some good scary parts. Like you said, the hand part. Also, when they're downstairs and they have her strapped in that chair, man, and that chair like flips over. Dude, that's scary, man. That's scary.
Very scary stuff.
Good one, man.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
one. I'm glad you had that one on there, Lee. All right, well, I'm jumping into, let's see, we're on number 3 now. And this is actually one that you had on your list, but for a haunted location, you can't get much scarier than the Overlook Hotel. So I'm going with The Shining.
All right. I love it.
Yeah, man. And I think I always have a Stephen King book-based movie on my list, but really, this one, my top three really battled, and I went back and forth on them. But The Shining's just awesome, man. Jack Nicholson, his acting was phenomenal in it, and it- going to that hotel and just thinking that you know, I it kind of reminds me of like how we've been in the pandemic, and you're just home with your family, and hopefully nobody's going that way as far as Jack Nicholson did.
All right.
Uh, you know, when he's going in the bar and he's talking to people, and you know that now there's ghosts in there. Um, but the part where he's always typing, and he tells his wife Wendy, you know, never interrupt me when I'm working, you know, and he's stern about that. And then finally one day she just picks it up, and it's just all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And that's just and I mean, it's like he's written a novel of the same sentence over and over again. And at that point, she should have gone. You know, I know she was thinking about it, but she should have just left, man. That should have been it right there. And Scatman Crothers. Love him. I love him and the painting over top of his bed.
Right.
He's awesome though, man. I wish that I really wish he hadn't gotten killed, man.
Well, you know, in the book he does not.
Right. Yeah, I think the movie did. You know, the book's always better to me. And sometimes they do pretty decent justice with them with making the movies. And I know Stephen King didn't think much of that movie.
No.
The adaptation, but and then they tried to redo The Shining. I don't know if that was a TV thing or what it was, but
it was a 6-hour miniseries on ABC, because at one point ABC was putting out annually a Stephen King miniseries a year. You know, and that was one of them after they'd had success with a number of other ones.
Yeah, and they had some good miniseries. I didn't like that one as much though, for whatever reason. But
although it followed the book much closer, it wasn't. Yeah, the big differences would be the bushes, the maze. Bush Maze was just strictly movie, you know, and then there were animals. Bushes cutting animals or what have you, and they were moving around and stalking Danny and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to give that another look. You know, just check.
Well, I mean, don't get. I mean, it's closer to the book, but I still think if you're looking at pure terror and horror, your choice is much. I mean, that 1980 Shining is better than the 1997 Shining. You know what I mean? By light years.
And it has that line in it that I think anybody knows now. The "Here's Johnny." I think almost everybody knows that. And when I first heard that, I didn't know that was a Johnny Carson thing. I found that out.
Right.
You know, I was like, hey, they stole that from The Shining.
Well, exactly right. Yeah. No, but no, you know, I love that movie, man. I do. And you know, it's just a terrible tale what happens to him. I mean, he's trapped in that hotel. You know, at the end of the movie, you see the picture of him, you know, and he's kind of there, and he's joined the rest of the spirits, and that's where he is now. For the rest of his, he'll be haunting that hotel, for quite some time. And you know, I just recently saw Dr. Sleep here past few months ago, which is a sequel written, you know, by Stephen King himself, and then adapted, as I mentioned before, by Mike Flanagan, which I thought was really good. And I've actually been to the Overlook Hotel, or at least a hotel that it's based on. In Colorado.
The Stanley Hotel.
Yeah, the Stanley Hotel. I've been out there in Colorado, and so they filmed the newer movie actually at the hotel. It was the hotel that Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining about.
Yeah, he stayed there, and that was pretty much.
Yeah, he had stayed there, and then they actually filmed The Shining, the 1997 one, at that hotel. So when I went there, it was after 1997. We got to see some of the cool little films.
What room did you stay in?
I just stayed in rooms. I just went into the hotel.
237. I have the keychain up there. 237. I would have to stay there, man.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So did they have the maze and everything at that?
No, they didn't have any maze or anything like out there like that. Because that wasn't where they filmed the 1980 one. That was filmed over in Europe somewhere.
Yeah. They just used the
Yeah, but they used they did film the 1997 the remake in that hotel,
Okay.
but they didn't have any like animal or anything like that. So, but it was just cool to be there because, like I said, they had some cool movie artifacts that were still there and everything. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be pretty awesome.
it was. But yeah, man, The Shining, I love that movie. I've talked about it a lot before, so bravo, sir.
Thank you.
All right. See, I feel like I repeat myself here, man. But number three for me, I just had to put it on because it did. This actually scared me at night. When I first watched it, it was Paranormal Activity. It. You guys, if you watched previous episodes, you've heard me talk about it. I think it's awesome to do. One story that I have not shared that I think I will share is my wife got me really good at the night after watching this movie. We watched it. I woke up. We went to bed. I woke up in the middle of the night and she was standing over my bed, just like Katie was doing, to Micah.
That's
And
not
I
even
was
funny
just
though,
like,
man.
oh my gosh, no, it wasn't. No, this was back in a long time ago. It was like literally, I remember I had rented the movie from a Blockbuster. That's when I saw Paranormal Activity for the first time. As I went to a Blockbuster and rented it and couldn't wait to watch it, and it lived up to my expectations. There's been many a time where I've seen a horror movie that's been, I haven't seen it right opening weekend, maybe not even the first 3 weekends. So by the time I get to see this horror film, it's been built up so much, just like any other movie.
Yeah.
You're kind of like a little let down. And I remember seeing Paranormal Activity that night and being mesmerized, by it and just simplicity of it, but terror that you got from that film. It got me. It got me good. And again, this is another movie that sparked a lot of sequels. Anything that I think makes a mark like that, and then they do sequels that aren't like a Stir of Echoes Part
Yeah.
2 sequel that come out 15 years later. That's a sequel in name only. These movies built on the mythology of the film. Each one was you found out something new and then gave you even more questions. So, but this is the movie that started it all. Scary, and that's why it's my number
Yeah.
three.
And the way that they filmed that movie, just like it was filmed with an actual video camera that you could buy with a camera, they didn't go with 24 frames per second like a typical movie with
Right.
that looks all grainy. They made it look like more like found footage type movie. And I think that's one of the things I liked best about it was the way that it was filmed. It really, I always say it. I think I say it every episode, but I love things. The more lifelike it is, the more realistic. That's what I like. Horror movies, any movie. And with that one, just the way it was filmed, they made it look real.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did. And yeah, I mean, it's great. I still get a little creeped out if I'm to come across any of the Paranormal Activities. And some people watch these movies and they're very bored by them and they're like, what was that? You know what I mean? But I, for one, and I'd heard all of that stuff before Paranormal, the first one, and I was it still grabbed me.
That's a first date question. With Mika, when she's talking to the psychic and he says, well, how long have you been having these visions? And she said, well, since I was a little kid. And he actually brings up, he was like, you never told me this. So on your first date, when you're asking about what school you went to, whatever it is, just bring up, say, well, you ever been possessed by a demon,
Right.
or even seen a ghost or anything? Or, I would now looking back at that movie.
All good questions. All good questions.
Yeah.
One way or another, you'll find out quickly whether or not they want to be with you or whether you want to be with them based on a lot of questioning. So.
And most women at some point are possessed by a demon. Typically after you get married at some point.
I will not comment on that. My wife will turn on to the show and no comment on me on that one.
Yeah. And I was joking too. I was just joking.
Oh, Lordy. All right. What do you got going on for your number two there, sir?
Poltergeist.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. I mean, how could you do haunted locations, haunted houses without having poltergeists? Like the emperor of all of them. That moving in and the building on top of a cemetery, and that where you just move the headstones, and that's classic, man. And that's something that anybody that buys a house near a cemetery, that's the first thing they think of. It's always brought up. It's like, hey,
Oh my gosh.
you move the graves or just the headstones? Ha ha ha. It's a joke, but it's not a joke.
No, not at all. It's so funny, man. I'm gonna go and share my number two with you as well. It's Poltergeist. So we can just talk about it. We can just talk about it, man. But yeah, it's so funny. That's literally what I have. Great minds think alike. This movie was scary, and believe it or not, it only had a PG rating. So, and I'm not sure if I've shared this with you guys, the audience before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this is one of the movies that created the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
There was no PG-13 rating before that summer of '82. It was a combination of this and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and maybe Gremlins even, you know what I mean? They were just like, people were taking their kids to go see these movies, and they were like, what the world?
Yeah.
So after that was PG-13 was created, but no, Poltergeist, dude, you already said a lot of great things about it. You're right. That is now into the lexicon. People are questioning, is this house built on a cemetery or not? You know what I mean? And they kind of laugh it off as a joking question, but they really want to know.
Well, that movie is like our generation's Casablanca. Really, man. To me anyway, I guess. But that's a movie, that to me is right up there with like E.T. and Star Wars. And it's just a classic film that, I think almost everybody has seen that movie, at least some part of it. And they know that's got the catchphrase too. And it's a classic movie, man. And everybody knows when you see Heather O'Rourke, you know who she is. That's the Poltergeist girl. That's what she was known for. And it was sad what happened to her. And she probably had a pretty good career ahead of her, although that was in the 80s and child actors didn't have too much of a good
transfer. Right.
Yeah, their child actors weren't great. But I love it, man. That's a great movie, dude. That's another one of those movies. I've got like probably a dozen movies that I can throw on at any time. Like I'll just browse through all of the, whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever it is, I'll browse through all of them. And then my wife comes back through laughing at me because I've got Poltergeist on. Just one of those movies, so man. Funny. Browse for like 2 hours just to go back to Poltergeist.
No, it's funny you just mentioned, I think you said Star Wars and E.T. It kind of goes up there with those type of movies. And well, it can't be denied that Steven Spielberg had a heavy influence. And I think that, he's kind of affiliated with those movies, via George Lucas with Star Wars, of course, but he was definitely director of VT. But the rumor's always been that, Toby Hooper or Tobe Hooper?
Yeah.
Directed
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and apparently, though, the rumor has always been that him and Spielberg was a producer of the film, that there was a lot of conflicts. The rumor's always been that he directed a lot of that movie.
I can see that. I believe that, because if knowing, not like I know him personally, but just Tobe Hooper, the type of person he was, when you think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I would think that he was trying to put more gore into Poltergeist, where Spielberg was probably trying to keep it more of a PG type thing and make it more family friendly, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct phrase to put that, but just so people like us as kids would watch it and get scared, but not too scared.
Right. No, it definitely made its mark in pop culture. Craig T. Nelson, Jo Beth Williams, obviously the parents, and then it's got its terrible stigma,
the curse,
with that movie as well. Yes, the curse, because a lot of people, well, you mentioned Heather O'Rourke, she passed away, I think in the middle of Poltergeist 3, maybe. I don't even think she got to finish making that movie.
No, it wasn't quite finished yet.
Yeah. So she passed away in that, and then the older sister, who was her last name was Dunn. She's Griffin Dunn's sister. Maybe it was Dominique Dunn. Maybe. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me. But she was murdered by her boyfriend, or maybe I'm wrong about that. But was murdered. Not too soon after that movie. Her boyfriend, right? Not too long after that movie was over. And Griffin Dunn, of course, is well known for being, he wasn't Jack, or maybe he was in American Werewolf in London, his buddy that kept coming back and, talking to him, who's more decomposed as he goes along. We got to do werewolf movies next.
Yeah.
Top 5 werewolf movies now. All right, but anyway, Poltergeist, what it is it opens up on the ideal or the idyllic, suburban family, living the American dream. They're a fantastic family. They love each other. And, at the very beginning, they're so amused by what's happening actually in the very beginning, when they they sit on the floor and they move, the chair moves, it's not like they're freaking out. They're like, whoa, you know what I mean? They're kind of like amused by this situation, and then of course everything goes on. Carol Ann disappears. We get his name, Zelda. Not Zelda. Help me out.
Hold on, I'll go back to my list from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got her, and she's
Zelda Rubinstein played Tangina. That's right.
Yeah. I'll see how
you don't question yourself, Lee.
Yeah, I know. But no, I mean, so great movie, man. It's so funny that both of us have it on our number 2.
Yeah. Hey, to touch base on that, you said it perfectly, where the little things they were entertained about. But if you look at a lot of those ghost movies or haunted location, haunted house movies, just think about how we were talking about Paranormal Activity a minute ago. With Micah going through, he was interested. He thought it was fun, to do this. He saw this. Well, now do this, and he starts taunting, and which don't taunt ghosts or anything else. Once you start paying more attention to that, it just opens it up more. So they're feeding off of your energy. But I love that movie, man. That's a great movie.
Oh man, I love it too.
I can't believe we picked the same one. That's awesome.
That is so funny to me. It really is. Are you ready to share yours, Jason?
I am. I'm excited. I love this one. All
right, man.
1979, based on a true story, the Amityville Horror. And you just see those 2 top windows at the top, you know what movie that is. It's the Amityville Horror. Great movie, loosely based on a true story. Young couple just got married. Of course, the wife already had a few kids. The stepdad is trying to make the best of it. They find a house that is at that time a little bit overpriced, but they think they can afford it if he works a little bit of overtime. They do know from the beginning that there were murders in the house, and it was a family that murdered, so it wasn't a surprise for them. Which other movies that's happened, they found out later on that people were killed in the house. But with Amityville, they already knew it. Little things come up here or there, light breezes or little sounds or different things. But it doesn't take long. I think they were only there 28 days, I think, altogether. And but the things that start happening, it escalated pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a famous picture, and being a paranormal investigator, one of the things that I do is debunk things that people think are real. But there's a famous picture that from the time that Ed and Lorraine Warren were there doing an investigation, and they were supposed to have, just free roaming of the house. And it was just supposed to be them and their investigators there. And they were told they had as long as they could, or as long as they wanted to do the investigation there. And it turned into, I don't know, just a frenzy of different people showing up while they were there trying to do the investigation. Some lady that supposedly, or she thought she was clairvoyant and she could talk to spirits, but anyway, and I don't think Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren liked that at all. But there's a picture from their investigation where it looks like a boy peeking out of his door. It looks, and a lot of people said that's one of the kids that was killed in the house. It's a ghost. It's not a ghost. if you go back and look at other pictures that were taken that night, it's their camera guy setting up equipment. They didn't
Gotcha.
have all the equipment we have now, but it was like they had something that was a, a vibration device that if something walked past it, it would vibrate or make little beeping noises or something. We use something like that, and mine is a bright light and an alarm for my group. But if you look at the picture of this guy, and then you see what he's wearing, see the way his hair is, and then you compare it to that picture, you can tell that it's him on his knees, like setting up some equipment, looking at the camera. And it was just the way the camera hit him that made it look
Mhm.
eerily like a ghost was there. But you know, not to bust anybody's bubble, but that's not a ghost. I don't, there was no blood coming out of the walls. I would love to investigate that place. I would love to buy that place. It's up for sale all the time. And if I bought
Right.
it, I know my wife wouldn't let me live there, or well, she'd let me live there. She wouldn't live there with me.
She would be Jordan, yeah.
No, but what I would do is I would turn that into a bed and breakfast that you could do investigations at, and I'd become a millionaire quick.
I bet she would actually. That would be awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a
And
really good idea.
you know, like the Lizzie Borden house, you can go investigate that. And
Yeah.
but I don't, I think it was more hype than anything. But I do love that, much like The Exorcist, that I'm wearing Reagan t-shirt right now, that the movie was Hollywoodized, as I call it. And the people going to see it, it was a lot like the people that went to see The Exorcist, where they didn't want to stay in and watch it because it was so scary, and the news really hyped it up. And it, you know, it's a great movie. You really have to take it with a grain of salt, but I love Ed and Lorraine Warren. I love the cases they worked on. I kind of wish I love the movie The Conjuring. I love The Nun. I love all of the series. And I know Hollywood, you have to make it more interesting to sell, but I wish they'd leave some of it true. You know, it kind of tarnishes them once you start watching stuff like that and you find out that it didn't really happen. You know, you start thinking that they just made all this up. Well, they didn't make it up. Hollywood made it up.
Right.
You know, but you have to. You have to.
Yep.
But
No,
Amityville
man.
Horror is great, man. Great movie.
No, it is a good movie. Was it Margot Ritter
Kidder.
and Kidder? Yeah, Margot Ritter.
Yep.
Margot Kidder and James Brolin.
Yep.
Yeah, are in the film.
Lois
Yeah,
Lane,
no.
as we
Lois
know
Lane,
her.
yes, for guys
Yeah.
who don't know, yes, exactly. So she was having a like nice little run there in the late 70s with that and Superman then and the
Yeah.
Horror. So no,
Yeah.
no, great choice. I actually saw it later on in life actually, and it was pretty scary movie. Saw
Have
it
you seen the
later.
remake?
I was going to ask you about that. The Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds led one. Yes, I
Yeah.
actually did.
Deadpool. He
Yeah,
did a great job in it, man.
yeah, he did actually. It didn't that it was actually the Michael Bay's company who was doing those remakes for a while. They did the Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre, and then they did this one. This one wasn't as successful. The Amityville Horror one wasn't as successful as
I
the.
liked it though. He did
Oh
a
yeah,
good
I did
job.
too. I saw that. I saw it in the theater.
I was like, I know the first time I watched it, he's out there splitting was like, come on, Ryan Reynolds, why you always got to take your shirt off, man? Leave your shirt on, dude.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, come on, man.
Hey, it was a good
But
remake.
was still so bad. It
Yeah.
was. It was. Now, very cool choice. I love it, man. My number one is again a film we actually just talked about not too long ago. It is another Stephen King book made into a movie. Came out in 1980. I think we know the movie I'm talking about, The Shining.
Yeah, man.
I had it as my number one.
Awesome.
I just gave a lot of reasons as to why I liked it when we talked about it when it was number 3 on your list, Jason. You know, I actually remember the first time I ever saw this. I think I actually rented this movie from the Record Den, if I'm
Oh
not
my
mistaken,
God.
in Culver.
Yeah, you really show your age right there.
I put it out there. I rented that movie from there. I watched it middle of the day, during over a summer. You know, me and my friend Woody, we checked it out. We watched it in my basement during the middle of the day, and it freaked us out, man. I mean, you know, I'm talking about the sun was shining outside. It wasn't like we were just in the dark, and it was like, oh my gosh, you know. I felt like I had to turn that movie off at times. It was getting so intense, and just this is the first time I've ever watched it, and it was just that movie again was one of those ones that I'd heard about. It'd been out. I actually remember being a kid, and this commercial came on. I was down in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and we were playing hide and seek or something like that with my cousins, and I was at my aunt's house, and the commercial came on TV for it, and I was hiding somewhere by myself, and I had to sit through that whole commercial. I think I was in a closet or something hiding, and I had to sit through that whole commercial being terrified that I had to listen to that while I was by myself hiding in the dark, you know. But I mean, it just, so The Shining, I didn't see it again until I was like, it came out in 1980. So I saw it maybe I was 15 or 16. The Shining was scaring me before I actually saw it. It just was. The reputation that it had, the commercials
Yeah.
from when I was a kid. And again, I saw it and it stuck with me. And to this day, I put it on. And it's just that atmosphere that Kubrick, that he brings, just the intenseness. Maybe a lot of people think a lot doesn't happen in that film, and maybe it doesn't. But the eeriness when he's just riding his bike, and the lull of the going from the carpet to the floor,
Yeah.
just there's little things like that, man, just bring you into it, and then he all of a sudden turns the corner, and there's two little girls, come and play with us, and it's just like, oh man, it's just, I love they did a movie a few years ago. Oh my gosh, it was the guy puts on his goggles and he goes into the different, oh gosh, Steven Spielberg directed it. But anyway, they go back and they go into the Overlook Hotel in one of these adventures that he's in. And even that alone, just brought me back to The Shining, just that little clip of it, 2 or 3 minute piece when they were in the Overlook Hotel. It was just like, ooh, the eeriness of it, I wish I could think of that movie, but I can't. But they gave a nice little shout out to the
It's a long movie. The Shining is, it's a long movie. But like you were saying, that I think from the time they get there to the hotel, it's just well, I think we've talked about this before. There's like a underlying like terror, like it's building, like almost like the heartbeat almost, but and there's just the way the music is just almost like continuously going through that. And that doesn't happen in a lot of movies, but that's what's building that tension up, where it's just getting, it comes out and then it gets a little bit louder, but it's always there. There's always a little bit of music just going along with it. And then it's a creepy vibe going on, and
something like that. I can't do it, but
yeah,
yeah.
And that they're trapped, man. They tell them, once you're up here to stay for the winter. And I think that's what's so bad. You kind of start feeling bad for the wife and the little boy, because what are you going to do? I mean, it's a big place, but sooner or later he's going to find you.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I all good reasons. You gave a lot of them, and I just did, but that's why it's my number one, man. Number one on a vacation.
That's a great choice, and that bounced back and forth between me, but that's a good one. That's a good one, man. Good job on that one, Lee. That was a good list.
Yeah, it was a good list. It was a good list. You guys, some of these movies we're talking about, if you haven't watched them, please go out and check them out and let us know, in the comment field what your thoughts are. Let us know if we're crazy for being in the top 5, or or let us know what movies your top 5 are. We'd love to hear it. Yeah, but I know, Jason, that you said that you had a couple of ones that didn't make the list that you would share with us.
I do. I'm actually going to throw a list up when we get finished of a bunch of different ones, but I thought stuff like Stephen King's Rose Red. I thought that was a great, that great little miniseries that he had out. And The Haunting, House on Haunted Hill, and American Haunting, The Haunting in Connecticut. And of course, you mentioned Gothica, Crimson Peak, His House, which is not too old. That was a freaky movie too. Now these are the ones
for His House. I haven't seen that one, so that's one I'll have to go check out.
His House, it's good. I think that was a 2020 movie. The Orphanage, 1408, another Stephen King, and that's kind of based on some of the stuff that
hotel room.
Yeah. The ones that I said that let me mention this real quick. One of the best first 5 minutes of any movie that I've ever seen, and then the rest of the movie was just crap. And this could have fit on this list for haunted locations. Ghost Ship. Have you ever seen
Oh,
Ghost
yeah.
Ship? The first
I
5 minutes,
have.
but after that, it's just like, this movie's terrible. But that first 5 minutes where they're out there dancing on the deck of the ship, and then
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was great,
cable.
great graphics. The ones though that I said, well, these could fit on here, but I'm not putting them on there because I wouldn't really consider them a horror movie. But first of all, the Wayne brothers with a haunted house.
Okay. All right. I like it.
I mean, that's a good spoof on like Paranormal Activity and stuff like that. But
Right.
anyway, but other ones that could have made the list, and I really seriously thought about putting them on there. Beetlejuice
Oh,
for
all
haunted
right. I love that
location.
movie. Yep. Tim Burton.
Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I mean,
Multiple haunted locations.
Dana's apartment was the that was a haunted location, but New York
That
City,
whole
the whole
building, yeah.
place. Monster House, the cartoon Monster House.
We watch that regularly here at this.
Yeah, I know. I love it,
Halloween
man.
house.
I
Yeah,
love it.
It's good.
The Haunted Mansion, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yep.
I mean, the Haunted Mansion. But I couldn't bring
Yep.
myself to put him on the list. And Casper, of course.
Oh,
But,
yes. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, but those were a few that I was like, man, they could actually be on there because I was like, I don't know what Lee would think of me if I, put Casper on my list.
yeah. I mean, there is a place for Casper on a list. That is for sure. Not
Yeah.
this one, though.
Yeah, not this one. Not this one. But it was a bunch of them.
No,
I'll throw a
man.
list of stuff up there at the end, and just so people can see a few other ones that they may or may not have seen. So House with this
Oh,
the movie.
The Greatest American Hero.
Yeah, from 1985. I used to love that show when I was a kid. Well, I loved the movie House because the TV show. I
Same
watched
here. Yeah, William Catt was the
Yeah.
William Catt is the
Yeah,
actor.
that had a couple of parts to it, and it had some comedy mixed in with it. So, but I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, but that was one of those movies that was also just by sequel in name because they didn't build on like House
Right.
2 didn't build on part 1. You know
Right.
what I mean? It might have been the same house, but it didn't have any connective tissue really at all.
No,
And that
no,
House
no.
2 was more of a straight comedy, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first House
With,
I thought was
I think the first one there was a good movie, and it had a couple of funny parts in it. So they said, "Hey, let's make the second one real funny." It's kind
Yeah.
of like that the found footage one I was telling you about, Bad Ben. It's kind of how he went with that
Oh,
one. It's
yeah.
like, that was a funny part, but let's throw more in. But no, those were just a few more that I threw on there, though.
Well, Jason, as always, man, I think those are great choices, awesome choices, and you always come to the show with a movie that I've got to walk away from or walk away with and go check out. You know what I mean? That I haven't seen. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Sounds like his house would be definitely one that you just mentioned.
It's a good one.
Checking out. But dude, I loved your list. Guys, as always, like I said, these were our top 5. These are our choices. Let us know what your thoughts are. Please comment on the comment field. Let us know if any other top 5 things you want to see from us. We'll be happy to do it.
Yeah,
All right.
good deal.
Jason, thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. Good deal tonight, man. I enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. All right, guys. Until next time.